No.
Have you seen this viral clip? It's like a literal law school exam.
There's so much to talk about here. Everyone gets so many things wrong.
I sometimes wonder what it's like to get something wrong. It's just never happened before.
Let's discuss.
All right.
Go ahead.
I also need you to put the phone down. So I don't agree to be recorded, so.
This is my First Amendment right.
It's not actually.
Wrong. You do have a First Amendment right to film the police.
And before we dig into this, there seems to be some confusion about whether the Border Patrol officers that we see here are police. And the short answer is that they are. Border Patrol are sworn federal law enforcement.
Right. Federal officers and local officers are both subject to the same constitutional protection, so we're just going to use the term police to describe both here. Of course, there are some unique aspects of Border Patrol authority, but those don't really apply here. Any special authority conferred to Border Patrol typically involves border crossings, checkpoints, or asking about immigration paperwork.
One important limit to the Border Patrol authority is that they technically only have authority within 100 miles of any US border. But because most of the country's largest cities are near the ocean, this 100-mile zone actually encompasses over 2/3 of the population. Okay, so back to filming the police. You do generally have a First Amendment right to film the police.
So long as you do it in public, don't interfere with their duties, and don't secretly film them.
Okay, what's your badge number?
I don't have to tell you that.
So this one's really interesting. I think that most people assume that if you ask an officer for their name and badge number that they have to give it to you, but there's actually no legal duty for them to do that.
Right, it varies by state, but most states don't have a law explicitly requiring that officers give out their badge numbers. Some states like California do have a law requiring that badge numbers are visible on the uniform, but they still don't make officers give it out when asked.
Now, a lot of police departments do have internal policies requiring them to give out their badge number when requested.
But there's a big difference between breaking an internal policy and breaking the law. If you break an internal policy with your department, you might get fired. You break the law, you're going to suffer the legal consequences.
But from our very thorough research, we couldn't find a department policy or a federal law that requires Border Patrol to give their badge number when asked.
There's probable cause of alien smuggling. We're allowed to actually pull you out of the car and search your vehicle.
That's technically correct. If the police have probable cause to believe that your vehicle contains some evidence of a crime, in this case human smuggling, then they can take you out of the car and search it.
But
I'd be here to smuggle.
Smuggle.
You're coming down from Orange County.
Do I have the reason to, do I have the right to travel?
Yes.
Yes, so why am I being stopped?
Because.
Articulate the probable cause. You guys want to laugh. Look at you, you're laughing. You can't even articulate it.
it doesn't really seem like they think that they have probable cause to search the vehicle. And probable cause is a very nebulous concept. The Supreme Court has attempted to clarify the meaning on several occasions, calling it a practical, non-technical standard that looks at practical and factual considerations of everyday life.
In other words, it's one of those subjective, I know it when I see it kind of things.
But what if one person thinks that they see it and another person doesn't think that they see it?
Welcome to the law! Now, police don't actually have to articulate what they think the probable cause is at that moment. There aren't any legal consequences if they fail to disclose that. They just have to prove it later if you take them to court.
But based on our admittedly limited view from this video, the officers here don't seem to have any good reasons that would establish probable cause. And if they're taken to court later, just saying because isn't going to be good enough.
I have cause. It is because I hate him.
All that said, you know what one surefire way to establish probable cause is?
But you guys are gonna bypass it by getting a canine and then having the canine false alert. You think I'm f***ing dumb? I'm not dumb.
So the driver does seem to know what he's talking about here. The best way for police to get probable cause is to deploy a canine to the scene and have them alert to something illegal, in this case inside the vehicle.
One important thing about the use of police dogs, though, police can't make you wait an unreasonable amount of time for a police dog to show up. And that's a tough one because unreasonable isn't really well defined, but in general, it means that they can't make you wait for a canine to show up at the scene.
Practically what this means is the police might keep you answering questions or doing something else to show that the traffic stop isn't over while they wait for the canine to arrive.
So if you're at a police stop and you feel like you're being unlawfully detained for the purpose of waiting on a dog to arrive, you should ask the police officer if you're still being detained. If they say yes, ask them why. Because some police officers don't know this rule well enough and they might say to wait for the dog to arrive and boom, that triggers an unlawful search.
We've seen this happen before. Surprise, police aren't lawyers.
Now, the use of police dogs in and of itself is a pretty controversial thing. For one thing, when a dog alerts, they do it all differently and supposedly only the handler knows what an alert looks like.
And there are tons of studies showing that canines falsely alert pretty often.
But the Supreme Court and their infinite and holy wisdom have the final say, and they say that this is a valid practice.
Do you give me permission to run my dog on your vehicle?
No, I don't, but either way you're gonna do it, so it's...
Yeah, either way I am. That's why I'm asking you for permission.
Yes.
Well, I'm just going to tell you right now, if my dog alerts to your vehicle, you will be stepping out of your vehicle, because at that point I have probable cause to search your entire vehicle.
So this one's kind of weird. The police don't need your consent to have a canine sniff on the outside of your vehicle.
Right, if the police want to run a dog around your car, they can do that whether you consent or not, so I'm not really sure why they're asking here.
But you have no probable cause to pull me over in the first place.
I don't need probable cause
yes,
to pull
you
you
do.
over. No, you
yes,
don't.
you do. In the state of
You need
California,
reasonable
you do.
Alright, so now the guy in the car is wrong.
Everybody's wrong.
Here, the police don't need probable cause to pull him over, they just need reasonable suspicion. But the law's not helpful in defining these two terms.
Right, the definitions of both words are basically the same words, just rearranged in different orders.
But suffice it to say that if probable cause is here, reasonable suspicion is probably about here.
Kind of like how if Harvard Law is here, Yale is like down here.
Where is he? In there? Okay.
What'd you do? You pointed to it. Your dog did not alert.
Stop before I...
You motherfucking liar, dude.
And the dog alerted.
The guy in the car obviously disagrees that this was an alert, but like we said before, it's typically up to the police to decide what an alert looks like.
The police said that there was an alert here, so now they have legal probable cause to search the vehicle. So the lesson here is that confidence does not always equal correctness.
Right, even the Border Patrol got several things wrong here. This is a good example of why it's important to know your rights and why it can be helpful to film your interactions with police.
As long as you do it in public, and as long as you don't interfere with their duties, and as long as you don't do it secretly.